RailfanX welcomes you as we give you a tour of one of our favorite rail lines, the Chattanooga Subdivision. The CSX Chattanooga Subdivision runs 140 miles from Nashville to Chattanooga. The line is known for its beautiful Tennessee scenery, with heavy trains battling the 2% grade through the mountains. From the metropolis called Music City to the rolling hills, back roads, and small towns of the South, the Chattanooga Subdivision is the rail line to experience. CSX puts on a show as heavy trains move tonnage north and south. The locations that we will cover are Nashville, Antioch, Laverne, Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Fosterville, Bell Buckle, Wartrace, Tullahoma, Cowan, Sherwood, Anderson, Stevenson, Bridgeport, Nickajack Lake, and finally Wauhatchie in Chattanooga. We will see trains arranged through a period of 5 years to give you a variety of motive power. So sit back and relax and let RailfanX take you for a ride on the Chattanooga Subdivision. Nashville, Tennessee, home of many talented musicians and artists and one of the fastest growing populations in the United States, is where the Chattanooga Subdivision begins. Trains change crews here in Kane Avenue Yard. To the north, CSX will go to Kentucky, southwest to Memphis, or south to Chattanooga or Birmingham, Alabama. Here we see a Chattanooga-bound train entering the yard, crossing under the famous Broadway overpass. Behind us is the original Louisville and Nashville train station that is now a hotel. Here the hotel has a great vantage point of the CSX action, including working the yard and watching trains depart from their crew change. Down the line is a location where most rail fans congregate. Fog Street used to be a busy crossing until they built an overpass to relieve automotive congestion and traffic due to stopped trains changing crews. Here we see a northbound leaving the sub and entering the Nashville terminal. You gotta love those old EMDs. With a fresh crew, our Chattanooga-bound train leaves Nashville. Here we catch northbound with a Canadian National SD70M-2. This was recorded in 2019 where the Fox Street crossing was finally removed. Chattanooga Sub trains also depart and terminate here at CSX's Radnor Classification Yard. On the Harding Place overpass, you can watch trains on the SNNA main line and trains terminating in Radnor from the north and from Chattanooga. Northbounds terminate in South Radnor Yard. Here's a train ending its run from Chattanooga. Here on the Melrose Avenue overpass, one can view the north end operations of the yard. Here we have a Chattanooga-bound train on the left and a Memphis-bound train on the right. Chattanooga-bound trains swing southward almost like a U-turn towards Antioch, Tennessee. It is time to hit the high iron. Here we catch a southbound through Antioch around milepost 10. We are located on Goodwin Road. There is a long straightaway and you can hear the trains blowing horns on both sides. Here is Q582 on its way to Radnor Yard with a string of locomotives including number 1074, the Erie-Lackawanna Heritage Unit. On another day, we catch some Canadian power with ethanol heading north. About a half a mile brings us to this shot. We are just north of the milepost 11.1 detector. Here there is a nice curve and a straightaway off a dead-end road. Here are some highlights including the circus train. Next, we are off to Laverne, Tennessee. Here there is a siding just south of the Stone River Road crossing. There is a farmer's co-op just north of here that the local works. Let's watch a meet with the northbound and southbound grain trains. Heading south brings us to Smyrna, Tennessee. Here is the old L&N Depot and Small Town Square. You can follow the tracks along the North Lowry Street for some distance into Florence and Murfreesboro. Down the road from the depot, you get this shot, which is right off North Lowry Street. There's a beautiful little creek along with a nice bridge, and the best time to shoot is in the morning when you get the nice sun glowing on the southbounds. We are about 4 miles south of Smyrna at the Nissan plant in Murfreesboro. This is the Florence siding. Order racks are brought here empty and departed loaded with brand new Nissan automobiles. Trains are sometimes parked here if there is congestion in Nashville or south in Cowan. Our next location is Murfreesboro Depot. The once proud depot of the Louisville and Nashville is now a CSX maintenance of way building. The Murfreesboro local also starts here. They work from Laverne down to Tullahoma to interchange cars with the Tullahoma local and the Caney Fork and Western. As the northbound clears, the local starts its shift. One evening, we watched the local return to the depot. The depot is also home to this ex-Conrail caboose. The caboose was recently seen passing through Ohio in 2020. Fosterville and Bell Buckle are two towns that the railroad runs through. In Bell Buckle, there is an old L&N caboose and the original small town buildings which are in still operation today. The Tennessee Valley Model Railroad Club moved here from Smyrna. Wartrace is about 8 miles south of Bell Buckle. Here, the old Walking Horse and Eastern interchanges with CSX from Shelbyville. The famous F unit was taken out of abandonment and brought to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum in Chattanooga. Tullahoma is about 20 miles south of Wartrace and is home to the Tullahoma Local and the interchange with the Caney Fork and Western. The town and park with an old L&N caboose on display right alongside the main line. You can eat here and watch trains right in the parking lot. From here, only a few more miles until the real mountain climb begins. Cowan, Tennessee, home of the old station and museum, is located less than 20 miles from Tullahoma. Here, the Cowan pushers shove trains up the grade to the other side of Cowan Tunnel. Trains line up as they wait their turn to head south. The tunnel is located just south of here. Unfortunately, we do not have any footage of the tunnel, but we plan one day to visit. The tunnel was constructed in 1849 and opened in 1853. It is 2,200 feet in length. We will meet one of these trains on the other side of the tunnel. On the other side of the tunnel is Sherwood, Tennessee. Sherwood Road follows the tracks for quite a ways, giving a railfan endless viewing points. There is a siding and signals, as sometimes the radio can be static due to the town being deep in the mountains. Sherwood has a deep history of Native American culture and limestone mining. Here you can see the old Gauger Line and Manufacturing Company. Further down the line brings us to this scenic location. We chase this mixed freight from Cowan. One industry that is operational is the Wasp North America in Anderson, Tennessee. A maintenance of way train heads south on Easter Sunday. This location won't have any cell phone or radio service, so all you have is nature and the block signals. Our next location is Stevenson, Alabama. This is where the Norfolk Southern and CSX lines merge all the way to Wauhatchie. There is the depot and a Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis switcher on display. Action is heavy here and can be a real bottleneck for both railroads. Let's watch a few CSX trains pass through this historic railroad town. Further down the line is a small yard in Widows Creek that used to serve the power plant here. Now the CSX local works the yard. Here the local departs for Wauhatchie. Bridgeport, Alabama is still a major railroad town as the Sequatchie Valley Railroad has an interchange yard. CSX still works the plant, delivering coal. The depot is now a museum with indoor and outdoor displays. This can be a busy spot on the railroad. On a stormy afternoon, the Sequatchie Valley drops off cars as the CSX intermodal passes through. CSX local gets the go-ahead and crosses over the river. Driving on top of Hoffman Avenue gives you this vantage point. We watch the CSX local returning to Widows Creek. Nickajack Lake is a famous boat and fishing spot. For us rail fans, it is a beautiful photography location as the main line parallels the river and Shell Mountain Road. Here at CSX Freight heads to Wauhatchie. Wauhatchie Yard is the terminating point for Chattanooga-bound trains. The yard has an engine facility that has a public access road up to a certain limit. There was some exciting stuff to see on this day, including a Metro locomotive and the Norfolk Southern local. To conclude our tour, we watched Q141 as it departs bound for Georgia on the NS connection track. We hope you enjoyed this video. All of our footage was taken on public property. The CSX's #1 priority is safety. When rail fanning, make sure you are not trespassing on private property and railroad property. Be aware of your surroundings and be cautious being near the railroad. Above all, enjoy the show. Stay tuned for more RailfanX videos coming very soon, and thank you for watching this tour of the CSX Chattanooga Subdivision.